And we're live. What's going on? It's your girl, Pop Culture Mika.
And it's your girl, Just Right Jules.
And you're now watching the Red Cup Podcast Talks. So, this is our first time actually going live. So, whatever can go wrong might go wrong. Um, this is really an exciting time. And I really just wanted to go live and talk about what's going on the campaign trail, the future of America. So we have Kamala Harris today. We're going to examine Kamala Harris. The reason why we're going to examine Kamala Harris is because, one, even though she's not a new candidate, she's the newer candidate to the campaign trail. Being that Joe Biden has dropped out, if you haven't heard, even though it's everywhere. So we're going to examine Kamala because, to me, she really hasn't been examined because when she was running during the 2020 election, she, had to drop out early. So we haven't really had a point to really examine Kamala. And then when she appeared back, she was already the vice president, right? So at that point, she's not really being examined, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she's already picked, by Joe Biden and the party establishment. So I think this will be a good point, just from women of color to actually um, voice, not only facts but opinions and things that we also see, right? Because I think a lot of the times people think just by the voting block itself, right, with the Democrats having majority of the African American Latino vote, that they're just sold up, and that we all think alike.
Mm-hmm.
And so, me and Jules are here to tell you that we do not all think alike.
No,
On politics, at least. On politics, at least. And me personally, I think it's a good thing because why why do you need your eggs in one basket? Which is going to be a focal point later. So I want to start with you, Jules. I want to get right to it. I want to discuss Kamala Harris, but I want to open with a little icebreaker. How do you feel about this election season? Like with what's been going on, like how do you really truly feel about it?
I feel like, like I told you this morning, it was like almost like be mindful of your mental space
Hmm.
because this political season is going to challenge your peace and just a lot of different things right now because we have a African American woman or a woman of a minority, because everyone always wants to break out the fact that she's not all the way African American or Black or however they choose to categorize her. But we have a minority woman that is in a position to be the first woman president. And there's so much misogyny that is going on in general towards women, just in general being in high positions, not to mention a woman minority. So for us, I feel like Black women are going to be attacked as a result. And I've already started to see it happen. Like I seen a Trumper yesterday. It's like something about how they look at us and they realize like they think that they're almost inferior to us. And I don't like that, being a Black woman, that I have to live in a situation where white men are looking at me some type of way because we have a Black woman running for president. And I think people don't really understand the ratifications that come with that. And we're going to have to protect our peace and be mindful of not being triggered by every single person that attacks us as Black women in general, because we're going to be attacked. And I seen it the first Trump term and I did not like it. I felt uncomfortable. And I'm really worried about the climate of the Black women. We're seeing it every day. We just seen Sonia Massey get killed by a police officer, unarmed. We are just so endangered in so many ways because they don't have no respect for us. And that what scares me, because no one cares about the Black woman. But when it's time to talk shit about the Black woman, everybody wants to talk trash about the Black woman. But when it's time to empower Black women, people want to say, oh, it's just so because she's Black. Now, I can go down her track record, but I'll give that some time because I know we'll talk about that later. But it's so many different mixed emotions. And right now, I just have to protect my peace because
Mhm.
people are going to try me.
Okay, well,
Sorry. No,
tell
that's not
tell
towards
him
you,
tell
but
him
it's
tell him
just
how you
like the
feel.
complete strangers. Like, that's the complete strangers. You like, dang.
Tell him how
It's
you
because
feel
I'm
as a
black.
person.
Like, you mad because I'm a black woman? Like, is it that bad that I'm a black
Well,
woman?
well,
And
I
that's what I feel is going on right now. That's what I'm concerned with. If
mhm.
it's not even about her, us voting for her because she's a black woman, it's about what does that, it puts other black women in a vulnerable position as well, because now they're just mad at all black women. And that's
Well,
honest.
okay. Well, I can appreciate your opinion. We definitely think a little different on the political spectrum, right? Because I feel as though that because you know they're putting her up here as an African American woman, right? Um, and by and large, she's not an African American woman, right? And we can argue the point of she's black or she's not black, but she's definitely not African American, right?
Mhm,
And with that comes different experiences, different upbringings,
mhm,
different traumas or non-traumas, etc. Right? So just to throw her in there without having the actual experience, to me, is a slap in the face, right?
mhm,
To African American women and their ancestry, right? So when you look at it, Kamala's dad is from Jamaica, right?
mhm,
All right. So that in itself is a different experience. Then her mom is Indian. That in itself is a different experience. She
mhm,
wasn't raised with her father, right?
mhm,
So now you get into who's raising her, which is her mother.
mhm.
And that's where I think the focus is and why you see the backlash of them focusing solely on her being Asian
Mhm.
because of her upbringing.
Right.
So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you roll into why you think Kamala Harris is the best person for the job.
Well, essentially, I think I've weighed the pros and cons of both candidates at this point in time, and I can suffice for her cons, in a sense of understanding that people make decisions, and the best thing you can do is try to make the best decision. Only thing you can do is make the wrong decisions right. And so I feel like she's an ability to go into being the first minority president and make her wrongs right. And I know that she has the capability, and I feel like she has the team. She'll get the team around her to make those efforts clear going forward. I feel like now going forward, if she's elected or when she's elected, I feel like she will listen to the voice of the black people that got her in that position, as well as all the other people that got her into that position. It will be remiss for her to not acknowledge or to do something for the people that put her in that position. As many black women came together to put together like 24 hours, like almost 81 billion million dollars in 24 hours, the largest donations of any candidate this year. I think that says a lot of the people that are going to back her in this position. Now, why she qualified for this position and why are black people honing into her? Because I feel like they know that she has compassion, that she is a woman that will protect women's rights and their ability for reproductive systems, which a lot of women are struggling with right now. I just seen a woman put a baby in a dumpster in Texas. Why? Because she probably wasn't able to afford or couldn't get an abortion there. But now she puts the baby into a dumpster. So now we have a baby without a mother, or someone about to go to jail for putting a baby in a dumpster, where now we have a president that is about to take that initiative to allow for women to do those things and to make their decisions for themselves. No government should be in control of that. And I know with the Trump administration, that would be the case. They want to make it illegal. So why would I vote him in and take away a woman's right as a result for a tax break. It's not worth it to me. And so the next thing that I feel like with her is like she has room to improve with the immigration and the border. I feel like her first initiatives is to clean up the messes that they've already talked about in this term of the Biden Harris administration. She needs to have a clear, concise plan. That is what I'm hoping for. I'm interested to see her policies that she's going to have in place, whether she adopt the ones from the Biden Harris administration or she move forward with her own. But at this point, she has to be held accountable just as much as every other person that's coming to this position. And we as Black folks have to hold her accountable for everything when she gets into this position. So I feel like she will listen to her folks, but I don't think she would just be one-sided and listen to the Black people. I think she's going to listen to the country. So that is the part that makes a difference to me. It's not her just focusing on Black people, because yes, we're going to put her in that position, but we're not just putting her there just to help ourselves. We should be wanting to help the whole daggone country. So that's a part of the democracy that we're trying to create. And so I value that part and the hope that she brings to me. I can't speak for anyone else, but I can't go through another 4 years of trying to make America great again, because I never knew a time when America was great.
Okay. Okay. All right. I mean, you argued your position and why you thought, Kamala should be in office. So what I wanna do is push back a little bit on some of the points that you made. So one of the points that you made just closely at the end there was she should do something for the entire country, right? Now, granted, that's how it should be, correct? We should have all policies and everything that fits everybody, right? Whether you are in total agreement or not, something that most people can get behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not that way. It is not that way. And where I have pushback on Kamala, right, specifically, is that the moment she got in office, she did something for Asians.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She did an Asian hate bill. Now, we all have seen the clip where Kamala goes. So I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm not going to do something specifically for Black people. No. Right. And that would be fine. That would be totally fine. However, you did do something specifically for Asian people. And all it took was one incident. It didn't take Trayvon Martin. It didn't take Mike Brown. It didn't take George Floyd. It didn't take any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you even want to go there with George Floyd, she got up and said that America is not a racist country. So if the Democratic stance is that America is a racist country, then why would one of your top leaders tell you it's not? So now you have a contradiction there, right? You have a contradiction of no, it's not racist, but then when you want it to be racist, it is. Right? You know how I feel. You got to stand on it. I don't care where you stand, but you got to stand on what you said. And to me, Kamala does too much of the flip-flopping, the back and forth, the back and forth, the back and forth. 1 minute you're for something, 1 minute you're not, right? So to that point, I'm okay with something that fits everybody, right? But Black people were promised from the 1960s a bill for them. They didn't even get it the first time, right? Under Lyndon B. Johnson, a known racist, who's a Democrat. Okay. And so instead of making that bill who it should have been for, the people that were being terrorized, tortured, they didn't make the bill for Black people. They made it for everybody. Everybody's a minority. If you can't walk, if you got you want to be another gender, if you can't do this, you can't do that. Everybody's a minority. Everybody has civil rights. No, civil rights was supposed to be for Black people, and in democratic fashion, they used it to fit everybody else in. Now you have white women who are allowed to be a minority. They are a minority group. When were they ever discriminated against? Outside of their own men
Mm-hmm.
who they had a problem with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they ushered in the first feminism wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wanting to vote and things like that, because those were white women. That had absolutely nothing to do with women of color. Absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, why do they get to benefit off of people who are being terrorized? Literally,
Well, I said, who gets the benefit?
white women. White women. So white. So in the Civil Rights Bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
it states you cannot discriminate from gender,
Correct.
right? Sex, sexual orientation, all of that good
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right?
Right.
So that takes white women into account. So now they have another layer of protection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have all of those things, when you have all those things combined, you're going to start seeing a totally different uh you're going to start seeing things moving to a totally different direction, right?
Okay.
And ever
And
since
when
the
you say
60s,
that, what do you suggest by that?
meaning now I have certain policies in place to
Mm-hmm.
where I can I can benefit, right? And
Okay.
even though you can benefit too, you're more than likely going to be the last to benefit from it, right?
And why is
So
that?
because the policy that should have been to protect you, to
Mm-hmm.
actually protect you, because if I
Mm-hmm.
say, Jules, I understand that every time you go outside,
Mm-hmm.
you're in your community, you're being chased by dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
do a bill for you. Okay, cool. Then when you get
Okay.
to my house, I say, well, Jules, all these women may get chased by dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do a bill for all of the women here,
Correct.
right? But you are being terrorized by the
Mm-hmm.
dogs. No one
So
else.
you're trying to insinuate that white women are being
Well, I'm not
terrorized?
insinuating. No, I'm not insinuating. I'm telling you, white women have not been terrorized by the KKK, by
Oh,
um,
okay. That's why it was a mix up. I was like, wait a minute. It wasn't. No, they have not. That's and so
right.
yes.
So so
Okay, go
so
ahead.
putting others on a bill, right? If you wanted to make a
Mhm.
separate bill for other things, that is perfectly fine. But
Correct.
the civil rights bill was specifically supposed to be for black people.
Correct.
And they did not get that. And they were promised that and they did not get that. That's
Okay.
that's 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 number 1, right? And then
Mhm.
number 2, we move into where you said she will listen to black people, right? Because
Mhm.
they were the ones that put her in office. How many times since the 60s, right, have black
Mhm.
people put Democrats in office? And what have they got specifically? It I
Okay,
can't
so
go
that's a
ahead.
question. So
No, it's a
essentially,
statement, but if you
it
have a
is a
response to it,
statement. It's
I'll
a
let you go
statement,
ahead.
but I would say that I mean, the '60s, I wasn't even a thought or a prayer. So I wasn't even a thought in that time. But I will say that we've only had two black. This will be the second time an African or a minority gets into the office in that capacity. We don't know what she's capable of doing until she's actually in that position for us to see what
Okay.
she's capable of doing. But we have seen what other people have done, and if that's an example of what we did the first time, then why would I sign myself up again a second time? So at this point, I'm willing to take the latter and say I will take my chances over here, not knowing what I'm going to get, than to go over there and to know what I
But
got the first time. Fool me
but you
once, shame on me, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Because if I let you back in that office, then that's a shame on my part.
right, but
So
you gotta
no,
but
so no, I'm not. That's
you
where
have
I
to
stand with
remember,
that. So I mean
Jules.
to get passionate about that because
No,
it's a matter
you're
of
totally fine. You're totally
yeah,
fine.
but
I,
essentially what
but
the
you have to
Democrats have
remember.
done, the Democrats have caused. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the Democrats ain't. are like this holy grail of what an example of what things should be. But when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to senior citizen, when it comes to all the different programs that many of African Americans have benefited from, public
Right,
school
but hold
system,
on, hold on, hold on, but
Department of
hold on.
Education, those
Let
are
me just
things that the Democratic Party have,
let me take that
you know,
point though.
honed
Let
in.
me argue to that point though.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
Okay.
it's never specific. I'm sure I can find things that I can benefit from every party. I'm
Correct.
sure. I'm sure, right?
Okay.
And so with that being said, it's not about me finding things that I can benefit from
Mm-hmm.
when I'm owed a specific thing. Something
Okay.
that you specifically told me was for me,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm saying is a broken promise.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, it's
I mean,
even beyond a promise
at
because
this point,
when
you gotta put, but you gotta hold the
ho-
you like. This
hold
is where
on,
I
hold
was.
on, hold on, hold
Okay,
on. Let me
go ahead. Finish your point.
land the plane on this. So you have that broken promise, right? And then you continue, like Lyndon B. Johnson said. I'll have them voting Democrat for 200 years. You'll continue to hammer the point of we're the best party to vote for, right? So you're not voting at this point, you're not voting race because you made a point that there's only been two people of color, right? Okay. So you've been voting for the party. So we can't even add in the fact yet until we get to who we're talking about. We can't even add in the fact yet that, well, there's only been two people of color. No, you've been voting for a party that
Mm-hmm.
you've said has has been is supposed to be for this group of people. They have not benefited since they've switched over. They have not benefited from a single thing. Economically, black black people have not gone up. Economically, black people have not gone up. It's only gotten worse. So, when you look at it, the households aren't the same, right? uh Black families are at an all-time low, if at this point any existence, right? They're not promoted, they're not together, they're not getting married, all those different things. And so when you look at that from the 1960s until now, it's over 4 generations of nothing but
Mm-hmm.
crumbs. Because like I said, you can pick out you can pick out at any point in time something that you may benefit from,
Mm-hmm.
but you were owed a specific thing. You didn't get it then, and you're not getting it now. And then if we move forward to what you were saying about having people of color, right?
Mm-hmm.
People didn't require nothing of Barack Obama either, right?
Correct.
They were happy to see representation or supposed representation, right? But the same thing I said about Kamala is the same thing I can say for Barack Obama. He grew up in a white household
Mm-hmm.
his entire life, right?
Okay.
The logic that you would identify with another group of people when you were raised by another group of people is very asinine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know psychology and how that works, right? So there's not a switch, right? That would be just like saying, well, white people they grow up white, but they can definitely identify as a black person. And that makes no sense because that's not their reality. That's not how they grew up,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can have empathy for other groups of people, but to
Mm-hmm.
say that you specifically identify as such is a farce, right? And so we didn't require anything of Barack Obama. Barack Obama was allowed to just let's just see how he does, right? Okay. Most people that didn't like Bush didn't realize the things that Bush didn't get done, Barack Obama doubled down on. I mean, and I do mean double down. When you get into the wars that Dick Cheney and Bush started, Barack Obama doubled down on it. And anytime you wanted to question him about it, which you should, because one, you are paying him, he is working for you, suppose it. You couldn't ask him a question. Why? Because if I ask you a question, I'm a racist. So
Hmm.
now you're getting into dirty politics because I can't hold you accountable because
Hmm.
of your race. You
Hmm.
decided to be the president. So if you decided to be the president, then guess what? If something goes wrong, you're gonna have to hold this L, no matter if you're black, white, or indifferent, right?
Okay.
So now we move further into Kamala. I would argue that Barack Obama is 10 times more qualified than Kamala Harris. At least Barack Obama has a record that I can actually see, right? Whether
Okay.
I like his record or not, right?
So you
He
like
has,
Trump's record?
we're not focusing on Trump. We're
No, I'm
focusing,
just. I mean, because we're talking. You said if we're gonna
but
focus on Kamala,
we're
and we
only
talking about,
focusing.
we're talking. You said we're gonna focus
We
on
can't
Vice
focus on.
President Harris,
We can't
and
focus.
we're
That's why I
talking
skipped
about
over. That's why
Former President Obama, because
we
we
can't.
do respectfully got to use the terms. But no, I mean, I'm just saying if we're gonna just
We can't
say
focus on his record because I can't go into him.
no,
So if I
it's
can't go,
just a yes or no. It's just a yes or no. Did you like Trump's record? Yes or no. It's just you don't even
Trump
got to
don't
go
have
into
a record. Trump don't have a record.
he don't have a record. Okay, you're right. Go
And,
ahead.
no, we'll get into him. See, that's what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean.
we'll go.
So
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't
just
get into him.
like
So
he
that's
don't
why
have a record.
I can't answer that question because I can't get into him because we're only focusing on Kamala.
I
That's
know, but
why
it was just a yes or no. But you're saying he don't have a record. He had to
no,
have a
because
record.
I can't bring him up. If I can't focus on him
I
because
don't
we're
want to
focusing on
focus on him.
Kamala.
It's just a yes or no question. It's a yes or
No,
no question. He don't have, but you're
you
saying he
can't
don't have a
no because
record.
you can't, Jules, you
Okay,
can't
that's it.
bring
It's
him
fine.
in. You can't bring him in.
That's
If
fine.
I'm saying
I don't want to bring him in. It was just a
we're
general
focusing
question.
on Kamala in the Democratic Party. So I am only focusing on people in the Democratic Party.
I
Now, when we
got
have
you.
some,
I got
now when we
you.
have something on Trump, hold on, but when we have something on Trump, I told you bring all of that stuff up that you don't like about him or that you want to question about him. But if we're specifically focusing on a specific thing, it's exactly what I was saying before. Stop. We can't focus on the gender. We can't focus on LGBTQIA plus. We can't focus on that if we're focusing on black people. I'm not focusing on Trump. I'm focusing on Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party today, right? So
I, I got you. I got you. But this is
I
the
can't
reason why
effectively
so many
answer
people
you.
go to are like, you have to consider there's some people that may not like Vice President Harris, but they want
Mhm.
the right to be able to have certain things that the policy that the Trump administration would get rid of. So essentially, it does come back to the fact that some people are saying, I would rather go of the lesser of two evils. For you to say that
Right. That's why
Barack
we're
Obama is
specifically
better
talking
than
about her, though.
Kamala, if to say that
Yeah,
Barack
I
Obama,
can compare those two because they're both Democrats. I can compare those
I
two.
got you. I get what you're saying with that.
Mhm.
But to sit here and to say that and to say, oh, Barack Obama was better than Kamala, and we're referring to just Democrat. We're going in on the Democrats,
Right.
and me being a Democrat, of course, I'm going to have a perspective on that. And I'll
And that's
save
fine.
my whole banter for Trump on the Trump conversation. But what I will say is to sit here and to say, this is the reason why more people are leaning towards Vice President Harris, because they are so opposed of the views and the ideologies of Trump. So essentially, there
That's
was
fine.
something like there's people that supported him that will say, you know what, I will vote for her any day over him. Why is it that people would choose her over him? That is the question now, because we're still
Right. And
focused on her. So why would people do
but
that?
that's what
Because they
you
want
are.
their human rights. They want their female
Hold on.
rights. They want their
But that's
reproductive rights, Mika.
Jules, but that's what you are here to focus on, right?
And that's what I'm focused
So
on.
why would people want to focus on Kamala instead of the opposition, right? That's what
Mhm.
you're here to focus on.
That's
We're
true.
also here to focus on why they wouldn't. What about her we wouldn't want,
Right.
right? And so that's the perspective that I'm talking about now, right? And
Correct.
so what I'm saying is when I was talking about Barack Obama is Barack Obama, right? Again,
Mhm.
has a record I can go view, right? whether I like what he was talking about on the campaign trail, he gave his point of views, and you
Mhm.
either take it or not take it, right? You
Right.
either believe it or not believe it. But the reason why I even brought up Barack Obama is to show that there was nothing required of him, right?
Correct.
So if you're going to say, which most people said, I want to see a quote unquote black person in office and not require nothing of him, right? Then you're essentially doing what you did with um, Lyndon B. Johnson back in the 60s. You're allowing your vote to be used without having tangibles, without having an actual plan, right? Because if you're saying that I'm sending you, you are saying this. You are saying that the black community, and probably specifically black women, right? And we'll get into that. But
Mhm.
specifically black women are sending Kamala to the office, then where is your black plan?
There we go. So that's my point. You live, you learn, and you pick up the pieces. So at the end of the day, Barack Obama was the first minority black president. We never had one in the office to know what to do with that type of power in that position. We as black folks did not prepare, and no, we didn't know. It's no way. Like, even I was probably, when Obama was put into office, probably like I was probably in my mid 20s. I wasn't aware of all the different things. Essentially, you have to put something in front of him in order for him to push those things through. There were certain things that he did push through. For instance, he made it legal for LGBT to get married. Now, that might be a stretch to some people, but to other people, it meant something to them to be able to marry who they choose to love and be able to have that the right to legally marry someone they love. So it might not been for the black community. I was for the LGBT community because that was what they presented to his administration. We now have to hold accountable Vice President Harris. We have to hold her accountable. That is what the message needs to be going forward. If we're going to put her, if we want to elect someone, if we're going to do the opposition of Trump, and Kamala is our option, we need to make sure that she is held accountable to the things that we put in front of her. So this
Okay,
point
so let me
now
so
is
let
the
so
black
let, so let me go at
people,
that point.
black women. Now I let you talk for a long time. Black women have to now put something in front of Kamala. Black men need to put something in front of Kamala. Shoot, if anybody needs something, and women need to put something in front of Kamala, we need to put those things out there for people, for her to make those initiatives, to at least give her a chance to make those changes happen. So after all these 40
Is that before or after she gets in office?
but this is now. This is happening now. These conversations are happening now. So just because you don't know it's happening doesn't mean it's not happening. My thing is this: some people are
But
talking
shouldn't I
about,
know? But shouldn't I know it's happening because
I
I'm
know
part
it's
of the public?
happening. These are conversations happening. There's a lot of stuff going on within, for black women. Black men are having conversations right now. Kamala has been on the phone since Joe stepped down, trying to make herself to prove that she is in a right position to do this. She doesn't have to call every single person. I've heard different delegates say that she has reached out and called those individuals personally, trying to say, hey, I'm going to earn this. So if she's calling people saying she's going to earn this, that means she is willing to do the work to earn each one of our votes. And at that point, all of us, black, white, brown, whatever your race or nationality, need to hold her accountable. Because by God, we know what we got before. We don't know what we're going to get with her. Now we need to outline ourselves, put a plan in place. She ain't even been put in this position for a whole week, and you talking about a plan. Because you got to give this woman an opportunity to settle in, get her nominations, and then talk to the people to know what their demands are, know what they want from her, for her to even make a plan. So in all actuality, I do see that there's hope with Harris. And I don't care if anybody don't necessarily agree with me, because
Mhm.
I don't agree with the policies of the previous administration. And at this point, if this is who I have, whether she was white, black, Hispanic, the first Indian, Native, I don't care what she was. I don't agree with Trump. She could have been a
Okay.
person, she could have been an alien from Mars and
Okay.
was born in America. I would vote for that over Trump. So
Okay.
that's my
Okay.
position.
So and that's most of the sentiment of people who are going to vote for her. So here's the thing. So if you're saying that you're going to have to put something in front of her, she's been in the office for 4 years. I'm
Correct.
sure she's well versed on what Black America wants, right?
Correct.
And
That's why she increased the age
if you're vying for my vote, right?
hmm
If you're vying for my vote, then why, one, don't you already have something in place to tell me what your thoughts are, what you actually want to do? I watched her the other day
hmm
on the campaign trail, and
hmm
it's more of the generic the generic political talk. It's
Correct.
more and more and more. I've
Correct.
still have not. Hold on. I let you
I
land
ain't
the
saying
plane.
that I'm just agreeing. Correct.
It's more of the generic talk that politicians do. It's just more the same.
hmm
So what I want to know is what specifically you want to do, not only with the country, right, but
hmm
with Black America, because you not only leaned into being Black now, and I say now because she hasn't before, and that is a fact, right? So I want to know specifically what is your plan, right? Because again, we've already had this conversation here from 1960. You
hmm
haven't gotten what they said they was going to give you. So you're up to 2024 now.
hmm
What is the specific plan? When Ice Cube came in with the platinum plan,
hmm
regardless if you don't like Trump or not, or regardless if you don't like the other party, both parties should have to fight for your vote. No one party should feel like they have it in a bag,
I
because
agree with you. I agree with you on
because
that.
when you do that, right? If I know I have you where I want you, there is no need for me to have to give you anything,
Well,
because
that's what
I
happened with
know.
Hillary. That's why Hillary didn't get elected because Hillary thought that she had secured the Obama's,
Well,
President Obama, and that didn't
Hillary
happen.
Hillary, amongst other things, not only was she, to me,
She's
not
still
a
out.
good Democratic candidate, yeah, she has a lot of things going on with her. So
Correct.
I can definitely understand why she didn't get it. Um, but just saying in particular, I don't like the Democratic narrative, right? It's always what Joe Biden said. And I like that the Democrats lately have just been saying it. Joe Biden, specifically, when he was asked from Charlemagne the God, what do you plan to do for Black America? What is different about you than Trump? And he said, well, if you don't know the difference between me and Trump, you ain't Black. As a white man, you are allowed to say that. You're allowed to tell a Black, preferably a Black dark skinned man in America, what he is.
hmm
What he is. Based on the fact that if he's going to vote for you, that
Correct.
tells me a lot about how he thinks. And how
Okay.
he voted before tells me a lot about how he thinks. But we're going to stick in these times.
hmm
Um, so you have Kamala Harris, who then on the debate stage said that a lot of the things that Joe Biden has done was racist out of her own mouth, right? You can clip it up. You can go find it. She
hmm
said it. She didn't like the busing situation. She didn't like any of that. And then all of a sudden, when she's the VP, I don't know what they're talking about. Joe Biden has never been racist a day in his life. Ma'am, you just said on the campaign trail when you were debating the man that that he's promoted plenty of racist policies over the years. So
hmm
the flip flop with Kamala, a lot. At least Joe Biden sticks to it. Whatever Joe Biden is on, he sticks to it.
Mhm.
But Kamala Harris tends to go where she feels she's going to get the most reception. And I have a problem with that because when you're a politician and you do that,
Mhm.
that tells me that you're not actually going to do something. You're just telling me what I want to hear, right? And
Right.
I'm starting to see with Kamala that this is a pattern. She did it when she was in California and she's doing it now.
Mhm.
So I want to ask you to get into Kamala's record. What do you feel about how her record from California, right?
Mhm.
What do you feel about? Let's start first with the marijuana lockups, because and the reason why I want to start with that because when she was on the campaign trail, she made a joke about her father being Jamaican, right?
Mhm.
And they asked her, "Well, are you for legalizing marijuana?" And she said, "Of course, my family's Jamaican." One, stereotyping all Jamaicans as weed smokers, which is awful. No, no, that's a stereotype. That's I know plenty of Jamaicans who are not.
I'm just
But
listening. Go ahead.
but
Go
just
ahead.
but just to go over that. So you take what she said versus how she governed in California. Her
Mhm.
record doesn't state that. So I want to know your thoughts on Kamala Harris and your candidate there on that
So
point.
from that perspective, like her making a statement as a Jamaican, like, like my thing is like I can talk about a Virgo because I'm a Virgo. I can talk about
Mhm,
my family because they is my family. If she
mhm,
chose to make that statement, that's the statement that she chose to make. It's a
mhm.
joke. Politicians do it, icebreakers. That's what I consider it. As far as the convictions and the people that have been arrested for the marijuana charges, I think that there were more arrests. I think they've over exaggerated the amount of the arrests, talking about thousands and thousands, but it's really like probably like less than 2,000 people that were arrested for the marijuana charges and about 45 convictions. I do understand the nature of the fact that there was a guy that was in jail longer than what he was supposed to. There was a lot of people that were in jail longer than what they were supposed to be in there. And I do not agree with that. But what I will say is everyone has the opportunity to make their wrongs right, and that's one of the things and initiatives that I'm pretty sure she's going to have to try to take is to win to figure out how to bridge that gap of things that she has failed at, and one being the incarceration record as well as the marijuana charges. So I mean, I'm willing to see what she's able to do to make up for that, because I know there's a lot of Black men that are very uncomfortable with her decisions then, and those are some of their reservations why they don't want to vote for her.
Correct. And so here's my only issue with that. Um I can understand that people do change, right? I can understand that people may grow, so on and so on and so on, right? But as a politician, that's what you have to stand on. Your record is what you have to stand on, right? It's not like a regular, everyday, average person, right? You may
Mhm.
have thought one way back in the day, and as you grew, you've grown, you've changed, you've come into different experiences. So I can understand that, but in the political realm, your record is what you're going to have to stand on, right?
Mhm.
I can't say last year I thought this way and this year I thought that way. I mean, you can, but your record is going to speak for the impact, right? We've had Joe Biden in office, and the impact of Joe Biden has been very impactful on Black people, as we already know with the 1990s, right? And so when you look at it, it's no difference in Kamala's situation because there was a black man on death row,
Mhm.
and Kamala blocked DNA. The governor had to step in.
Mhm.
The governor.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot on both sides. Like I say, there's very fine people on both sides of the aisle, but only one of them
I
is
like what you
hits.
did there. I like what you did there.
Yeah, exactly. It's very fine people on both sides of the aisle, but there's only going to be the American people will speak in November on who they want that person to be. And we all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different nationalities and experiences that are going to lead and make our decision come November. Kamala has made her decisions. I'm pretty sure there's certain things that I've done that I'm not proud of, but obviously it didn't impact the country. It didn't impact other people's lives. And so at this point, this is where she has the ability to rise to that occasion and show empathy and also take accountability for the decisions that she's made in the past. And also give answers to her record as to why those things had to happen. My thing is this also, these people are arrested, for crimes. And it goes to show that, granted, we have another issue at hand why people are just getting arrested and locked up all the time. And, you know, it's a sad situation in our country, but at this point, we don't need someone to try to be a dictator. We need someone that's going to actually show these people compassion, empathy, and have been able to learn from the decisions that they've made. And I'm willing to see that from her. I'm not proud of her record. I'm not proud of some of the shit I done did in the past. I'm not proud of a lot of the stuff I done did in the past, but I gotta own it. And I think right now, that's what she has to do is just take ownership, be accountable, and say, hey, I did do that. I was, however, whatever the case, her reasons and rationale may have been. But this is what I plan to do going forward. And as long as she follows those steps and do those things, that's what we have. We can't base it off her words. We can only base it off our actions. And that's what people's actions speak louder than words. And some people's words create a lot of bad actions. But at the end of the day, we have to figure out how to unify this country instead of trying to keep dividing it. And like the one piece of note that I want to say is, you have your dreams. I have my dreams. We all have our American dreams. However, we chose to get to this country. We're all American. We all have our dreams. We all want the best life for ourselves, for our families, for our kids, for our generations, the children that we got to come. And at some point, keep trying to go against each other is not getting us anywhere. We have to find a way to talk civil without people, getting all in their feelings, thinking like their life is the holy grail of how life should be on this whole entire country. No, your life, your way might not be the way for the next person. We should not be stuck into like the government and God are not the same. You know what I'm saying? And I keep thinking, like everybody's saying, oh, Kamala got the impeachment charges. They trying to impeach her. They're trying to put articles of impeachment. This woman's not even in office yet. They're already starting the attack on this woman. So I feel like this is just gonna be crazy. That's why I'm like, protect your peace, because we all want the same thing, which is a better life for ourselves. And we just got to figure out how to come together to do it.
Correct. So then let's get into really quick her initial job right now or for the last 4 years, which has been to be the border czar. What happened there, right? Because here's another situation that is affecting Black people, right? Her job was to be at the border. When questioned about it, she says, we are at the border. We have been to the border. Ma'am, that's not an answer, right? Why are there 10 to 20 million people extra in this country since you've come in when your job was to protect the border, right? And they're not going to affluent places. They're going to Black neighborhoods. They're going to Black cities, right? They're filling up Black schools. They're taking children out of schools just to house migrants, right? And this is not to slight anyone coming to a country supposedly for opportunities, right? But here's the thing. Me as a taxpayer, I'm paying for it. I can tell you right now, you can't go and get a $500 card every week. that you can just spend freely on. You can't stay in a hotel for free. You can't do none of these things. None of them. And your ancestors were here. You haven't gotten reparations. You haven't gotten an actual bill for you. But yet, you're supposed to have empathy for another group of people that are not even to this land
Mm-hmm.
and supposedly are seeking asylum, right? You're supposed to have empathy for that, but your own country won't give you a bill, just a bill, just a regular bill, but had no problem with making sure a group of people that were not from this country were well taken care of. To me, that's another slap in the face. And those cities are all Democratic. So again, we have the failure of the Democratic Party to protect Black people, their actual constituents that are getting them in. The mayor of New York is Black. The mayor of Chicago is Black. The
Mm-hmm.
everything in all of these cities, DC,
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore, all of them are Black.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
Okay.
So if all of them are Black and Black people are putting these people in office, why do they keep slapping you in the face by putting people in front of you? Whether it's the LGBT, whether it's the migrants, whether it's gender equality, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is in front of you. You're
Mm-hmm.
never heard, but you're the first person they want to give a turkey to make sure you come out and vote.
Well, I
So
mean,
how do you internalize that when you're voting for a Democrat?
personally, I'm different. I'm different. I done seen homeless Black people on the street, homeless Hispanic people, homeless Pakistani people from for a long time, way before even any of these administrations, from the Bush administration, if you want me to be quite honest. And the reality is, when Harris came into office, she already inherited a janky immigration system when she came into office. Well, we're not gonna
I don't mean to,
what
I don't mean
what
to,
we
hold
don't
on, hold on, hold on, 1 second. I don't mean to cut you off, but
have.
I just I wanted to know, I just wanted it to know because I wanted to say it in
Mhm,
there that um her before Joe Biden, Barack Obama was also very big on immigration to the tune of him being the deporter in chief, meaning he deported over 6 million, quote unquote,
okay.
migrants. So, how does Harris not follow up on Barack Obama's actual initiative?
Because what's in the middle of Barack Obama and the Biden Harris administration? Okay. That's why I'm saying we can't keep, like, as much as we can say we're going to talk Trump next week, we cannot dismiss the elephant literally in the room. So when Obama deported all them people, well, guess who was next? Who should have been able to uphold what Obama put in place? The Trump administration came after that. And at that point, whatever Biden Harris got, it was a trickle down from who? The Trump administration. So we can't keep, I mean, as much as I want to, it was a trickle down from the Trump administration. Trump and that wall,
What do you
the
mean? What do you
wall was
mean
a
when you say a
disaster.
trickle down? What do you mean when you say a trickle
When I
down? Like,
say a
what do
trickle
you
down
mean?
is everyone knows that when a person is in office, certain stuff does not even truly take effect until the next president is in office. So there was certain stuff that President Obama had put in place that former President Trump was able to benefit off of the President Obama's administration. This is where things got janky. Things got janky with that damn pandemic. We don't really know the amount of good things that could have occurred under the Trump administration because it was cut short because of a pandemic that he could have prevented. So in all actuality, during that pandemic, you had more people coming in from all types of the country. So yes, Kamala collected an immigration situation that was already janky from the beginning. So you mean to tell me that she's just supposed to fix it like bam, bam, bam? No, when she first got in the office, they had busloads of immigrants showing up in New York. As soon as they got in office, what type of stuff is that? Now she did not. That was not a part of whatever. Yeah, she was supposed to be the border czar. But what I don't like, and what I'm disliking about the politics right now is y'all keep trying to hold the Democrat accountable, but y'all are keep giving the Republicans a slap on the wrist. I don't like that. No,
Okay.
that's what's happening. I keep seeing it, and I'm sick and tired of people keep giving the Republicans a slap on the wrist like they ain't caused some of these problems that we got in this country. No, they need to be held
Well, I don't
accountable.
think. Well,
Like
I don't think any.
Barack Obama can take the fact that he went over there in the Middle East and he did all whatever he did over there. Was it foul? Yes. Innocent people lost their lives. Was he wrong with some of the stuff that happened in this country by deporting some people? Yes, there may have been some things that could have been done differently. But at the end of the day, y'all are holding the Democratic Party accountable, but the Republican Party, I don't never see anybody hold the Republican Party
Okay.
accountable for anything. The only thing they whatever is because of Roe versus Wade, and they own that like a badge of fucking honor. I'm
No,
tired
no.
of it.
When you okay, so to your point right there, right? I I know, you're passionate about certain things, but when you said they just get a slap on the
They
wrist.
do.
Now, when you went around to talk about Barack Obama, the tonality of your voice changed, right? You said you quieted down and you said, "Did he do some things wrong?" Yes. Did he do this? You know why? Because you feel a certain way about Barack Obama, right? So not in a saying that you're negative, but there's a bias there because you already feel a certain way about Barack Obama, right? So when it comes to the Republicans, they have George Bush has been dragged for filth tons of times. Let's be clear.
Even that he still gets a slap on the
The
wrist.
country was on when Barack Obama. The reason why Barack Obama was such a good candidate, the country was on the verge of revolt. People were just tired every which way. That's why that message worked. Because let's be clear, people are, I mean to the fullest, tired of the United States at that point. And and the mask was starting to come off. Barack Obama calmed them back down. But not only did he calm the country down, he was able to be a sleeper cell, right? So what they couldn't get through with the backlash of Bush, they got through with Barack Obama because now you're relaxed. And what can I do when you're relaxed? I can do what I want, right? So what I'm saying in general is that is what you see. It is not that none of those people don't get criticism, but let's be clear. Most of the things that have been massively affecting the country have come from Democrats, whether it was NAFTA, okay? NAFTA was under a Democrat. Whether it was the Glass-Steagall, okay? Glass-Steagall came under Bill Clinton, right? Which caused the mortgage crisis later because he allowed the banks to do subprime lending,
Okay.
right? And everybody knows in politics, right? No matter what side of the aisle you're on, when you do something, it's called a kick the can down the road, right?
Right.
So if a Republican does something, he doesn't address it, he's just going to kick it down the road.
Right.
So
Exactly. Just gonna kick
so
it down the road. Just kick it to the next administration. Next person deal with it.
right. So
Right.
but-
Whether it's
so
good or
I'm
bad. So meaning
right.
the
So
trickle down of good will go to the next one, and the bad
right.
will go
So
to the next one too.
I'm on the ban of that point. But what I'm saying is the kick the cans down the road that have affected black people came
Mm-hmm.
from the very party that it shouldn't have come from, according to black people.
Okay. Okay.
That
So
that that that's my whole thought process of Kamala. So what I want to end with is how you feel we can we can bridge the gap and what you think may be effective.
I mean, essentially, first things first, because we are in a political season, respect other people's politics. We don't have to agree. but just respect other people's politics. Two, I'll say for African American, brown, minority folks, just do your own collective research. Don't allow the propaganda to jade you of making a decision that's not in your best interest or your children's best interests. And then third of all, it shouldn't be about color. No, it shouldn't be about the color of Kamala's skin, Vice President Harris' skin. Vote for your better interest in general. It's not about color. It's about what's your best interest. And, at the end of the day, we all have our own dreams and passions that we want to do. So just make sure that politically, your stance politically align with what you're trying to do. And if you're not happy with the candidates that we have been, provided, by all means, I always encourage people to reach out to your local officials. Become a part of the cause that you want. Be a part of the change that you want to see. If you want to see things, action happen, be a part of that. Don't talk about it because talk is cheap. Be about it. And I own myself to that. I done volunteered. I will volunteer. I will donate. I will do what I need to do to be a part of this initiative because we got to move forward and not try to make something great again because it's never great. It's never been great. Sorry. That's my
Okay.
talking point. My ending.
Okay. And you know me. Everybody's entitled to how they feel. Um, my end point would be, uh, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Kamala, and I make no qualms about it. But I'm also not a pessimist, right? And I'm okay with hearing what she has to say, right? Um, but in politics, like I said before, you have to stand on your record, right? And
Mhm.
yes, there's tons of politicians on both sides of the aisle that like to sway from their record, right? They like
Right.
they like to sway from their record. And no, to me, you have to be held accountable. Now, do you want to do something to correct it? Or do you want to just try to brush it under the rug? Because
Mhm.
that to me would set the tone of difference, right?
Mhm.
If you're trying to move from your horrible record or not so savory record. Um the second thing would be is a plan, right? Like I shouldn't have to ask. I shouldn't have to. When you're wanting my vote, you should be able to look at the landscape because this is your expertise. When I
Right.
call a plumber, he don't ask me what you want me to fix.
Right.
You don't ask. If I
Mhm.
say, "Hey, my sink," he goes and looks because I don't know the ins and out of plumbing.
Mhm.
He has to tell me that, right?
Right.
So diagnosing the problem, diagnosing the problem of America takes somebody that's one actually really here to try to make a solution, right?
Mhm.
And not here for what's been happening on both sides, the big corporations, the big pharmaceutical companies,
Mhm.
um, and preferably, last but not least, the race baiting. Because at the end of the day, if you're one wing of the same bird, you have the same problem. How you go about it is just
Yeah.
different.
True.
You have the
True.
same problem. So what I would like from all politicians is one, which is probably never going to happen, to tell the truth.
Good luck with that.
Partisan politics, so that's probably never going to happen. But I would like people to start telling the truth because
Authentic.
there's
Yes.
so many people, right, that are not even the slightest, and I do mean the slightest, informed.
Yeah.
And so that's why I get so up in arms about just throwing out the fact of anyone, don't matter who. Like, no, it matters. It
Mm.
matters because so many people are uninformed, and I know they're not going to look it up. I know they're not going to do nothing. And so
No.
just to throw that out there only to me exacerbates the people that are only going to do identity politics. versus giving people the raw information, because 4 years later and they're in the same position, they're gonna feel away. They're going
Yeah.
to feel away. Now, part of it is their own ignorance to politics, right? And
Correct.
yeah, part of it is, and I never take away personal responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
but as well as the person that I put in office to be my representative, you represent
Correct.
me,
Mm-hmm.
not anybody else. You represent me. And if I can't count on you to represent me, I'm not going to keep giving you the job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I respect that. I mean, and to say this other point, I respect every point you have to make on that because you want to see the facts. You want to see you want to see the proof, and I don't negate that. I mean like it's bad. It's bad on both sides. It's good on both sides. But I feel like I respect your perspective on things because yes, you understand the facts, but I feel like I said, sometimes we hold one party more accountable than the other. And that's the
Mm.
part that irritates me because I feel like we have to hold all people accountable. It shouldn't be just one group being the spotlight of the criticism. We have to take accountability for both. And I just
Well,
hope that
here
going
over at the
forward.
Red Cup podcast, that's not gonna happen. If I pay you money, I don't care what part are you at. If I pay you money, I'm gonna need you to show up.
But yeah, I mean, it goes to what you said. Like you just want them to tell the truth, and I think it goes to not just telling the truth and being authentic, but also being accountable when you're wrong. And being
Mhm.
and that to me is a true sample or example of a leader is understanding your faults because it takes a real man or woman to acknowledge where they messed up. And that is what
Mhm.
I'm hoping to see from any candidate, because I think that that's the message that this country needs, because so many times people get so stuck in I messed up, I messed up here, I messed up there. Okay, you can fall down as many times as you want, but you got to get up once. And so I just want them to all be accountable and be more authentic, because us as American people, if you got our life and our money and our tax dollars, as you always say, Mika, if you got our tax
You know I'm
dollars
on them
like in
taxes
your
now.
pocket, then you need to do right by our money. So, and that's why I understand the
Right.
whole immigration part. I understand how people feel about that, but the best way that you can learn sometimes is from your mistake. And I mean, you got to give people a
Well,
chance to do that.
well,
Unfortunately, that's where the country is at.
I definitely hope I definitely hope they fix that. And I
Yeah.
definitely hope Kamala will be a candidate for the people that want to vote for her, that will stand on certain principles whenever we find out what those are. Um, I hope she does. I hope she does for
Um,
the sake of people that want to vote for her. I hope she
it's
does.
coming. It's coming. I
So
mean, it's history, Mika. I mean, all in all, it's history. She has done stuff for the HBCUs. She's done a lot of stuff that people just don't know. And it's like when people say she hasn't done anything, how about instead of saying she hasn't done anything, how about you say, I don't really know everything she's done? And instead, look into what she's done instead of saying she hasn't done anything. Because you'll be surprised the amount of people that Vice President Harris has helped. And I think that, and if she has helped you, somebody's watching this, and if the Biden administration has helped you in some way, if Vice President Harris has helped you, please put it in the comments. Like, let us know, how has she helped you? How has the Biden administration helped you? So that way, it's not like, oh, she ain't did nothing. No, instead of saying that, people can tell me I don't do nothing. Well, you don't know what I do. So until we really understand what she does, just say you don't know what she does, but don't say she hasn't done anything, if that makes sense. Respectfully.
I can respectfully agree that people need to research. I don't care what candidate, they need to research. But I do understand the criticism for Kamala, and I'm on board with most of that criticism, meaning the criticism that is actually warranted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the slights and things like that. The criticism of her record that's actually warranted. I approve those criticisms because people have to stand on their record. So,
Mm-hmm.
with that said, this is our first Red Cup Talks live. Um, I had fun. And to most of y'all don't know that me and Jules do these talks anyway. We
Yeah.
talk like this anyway to each other, but all in all, even with our discord and our different beliefs, our different standpoints, I think most of us in America and most of us as people of color do want the same. We may argue about how to get to it, but I do think we want the same. Well, you agree? You agree?
I agree. The American dream. American
With
dream.
that
That's all
being
it's
said,
about.
thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for joining us for Red Cup Talks, and we shall see y'all
Uh,
later.
is that Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Man. Bye.
Bye.